So I named him Aryan, and he's a 13-year-old. He's a gamer and he has some mental health issues. And I think this is a interesting user persona and fairly large user segment that would allow us to solve for interesting pain points and come up with some cool solutions. Hi, Ayush. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. Um, I'm excited to get a product sense interview question today and excited to be doing this mock with you.
Sure, sounds good. You can assume we are Amazon and you are a PM at Amazon, and your task is to basically design a smart product that uses AI for kids.
So, as in my understanding, the mission of Amazon is to be Earth's most customer centric company. We want to make it easy for customers to buy everything on Amazon.com. So, given that's the company mission, in my mind, our product mission statement should be building a product that caters to the needs of kids and makes it easy for them to access and buy what they need, which could be a hardware based product, could be software, or it could even be a physical product. How does that sort of sound as an approach? Does this idea sort of make sense, tying the company mission to the product goal?
Yeah, I think sounds good.
Perfect. So as a next step, one other question in my mind is regarding constraints. Do we have any cost, timeline, or resource constraints?
Considering Amazon, I don't think we will have some cost constraints, right? And I don't think there will be a resource constraint, but definitely, we will not be having ample resources. We need to be taken care of. Uh, yeah, from the timeline perspective, we are thinking to launch something and kind of an MVP within 5 to 6 months.
Perfect. Okay, 5 to 6 months sounds reasonable. And then the other question in my mind is also, as PMs, we take a lot of build versus buy decisions. So we often try to understand whether we should build a net new product or just buy it off the shelf. So do we have any I kind of took a stab at breaking down, well, how would we decide build versus buy? And one thing that came to mind is our team expertise, whether we have the technology and whether it's a growing market. So it seems like all three, team expertise, the technology itself, access to AI products and the AI ecosystem of products, and the market, which is the kids, are all growing at a high pace. Then the question really is, you know, do we have any insights on whether there are existing products that we can piggyback off of within Amazon's ecosystem and potentially just build some small features on, or should we build a net new product? So I'd love to get your thoughts on that. Any insights as to whether there's some existing Amazon products that we should piggyback off of and potentially just reuse or build features on, or build a net new product?
Sure, Prerna, sure. Uh, I think from my perspective, Amazon is already having some AI products into play, right? Like Amazon Alexa, right? And for kids, they are already having Amazon Kids Plus into play, right? So probably we can think over buildings and kind of an integrated product with them, or building something a standalone product, and probably we can see the synergies going forward if they can be integrated for the use cases which we are trying to basically solve for.
Perfect. So maybe we can take a couple of trade-off decisions at the end to say whether it makes sense to integrate into Kids Plus or build something standalone.
Sure,
Sounds great. So give me a couple of seconds. I'm going to lay down a structure and then I'll walk you through how I'm thinking about structuring this answer.
sure. Please take the time.
My structure really is to the following. So the first thing I would want to do is break down the personas that we're solving for. And then I'd want to understand their journey and their pain points as a second step. And then third, I'd want to walk through a couple of solution options. Fourth, prioritize. And then finally, give you success metrics and then summarize the answer. So I'm thinking of that as a potential structure, breaking down user personas, pain points, coming up with a couple of solutions, prioritizing, and finally giving success metrics. Wanted to kind of get your take on how does that sound as a high level approach? Any additions or modifications?
Yeah, it sounds good to me. And then I think would love to double check on I think the pain points which you'll define. I would love to give you a kind of you should give a kind of a prioritization approach to those pain points as well to choose one or two of them. And then for the solution as well, we'll prioritize one of the solution, defining the trade-off for the solution which you have chosen for, and try to see that how we can how the new user journey will look like from the standalone product point of view or from the integration with an existing product flow. And then definitely, you can define the metrics if the time permits for that. So,
Perfect. Great. So give me a couple of seconds. I'm going to write down some potential segmentations for our user groups, and then come up with like a persona that we could pick or target.
oh, sure, please take it.
So I wrote down a couple of different segments for kids aged 3 to 12 years. So the first segment I wrote down is usage of technology products, and this could just be high, medium, low. Second is their own personality or behavior, because we're trying to design for kids with different behaviors, and that could be in terms of there could be introverts, there could be extroverts, there could be people who enjoy video games. There are influencers who are very social. So those are some behaviors that I wrote down. And then finally, I talked about accessibility. So, more from a psychological point of view. So, if they have any physical disabilities, if they have any mental or emotional challenges, or if there's no major challenge. So, those are some like different segments that we created. Um, I was thinking further about like these different segments, and I felt that it would be helpful to prioritize the user segments based on our product goal, which was to acquire as many customers as possible. Uh, get as many kids in the door, and then also thinking about solving an interesting problem for one of these personas. I prioritized high usage, gamers, and then kids with some kind of mental or emotional health issues, because this is a common problem challenge for kids today. So that's the persona that I came up with. We can give him or her a name. So I named him Aryan, and he's a 13-year-old. He's a gamer and he has some mental health issues. And I think this is a interesting user persona and fairly large user segment that would allow us to solve for interesting pain points and come up with some cool solutions. How does that overall sound? Any
Sounds
any
good to me.
questions?
Sounds
Okay,
good.
perfect. Um, so give me a couple more, like about 20 seconds. I'm going to write down uh, Aryan's user journey, thinking about different phases of the journey, and then also some pain points.
Sure.
Okay, so as as we break down the user journey, we're thinking about it in phases. So there's a pre-phase from using, let's say, a potential smart product. There's in phase when you're actually using it, and then post phase when you've stopped using the product. So I was thinking about a day in the life of Aryan. So Aryan wakes up. He probably checks his phone or different social media apps within the first 30 minutes to 1 hour of waking up. Then he goes to school. He wakes up, he gets ready, he goes to school, and at school between 8 a.m. to 2 p.m., let's say, he's in classes. He's on his laptop. He's probably bored in a class and checking his laptop for different social media apps. He's on Snap, he's on WhatsApp, he's on Instagram, um, Twitter, Reddit. Like, he could be in a number of different social media apps. Then after school, maybe he has some after school activities, goes to play some sports for 2 to 3 hours, comes home, maybe plays a video game or two with his friends and people he met online, and then maybe spends a bit of time watching TV or watching Netflix, does his homework, has dinner, during which he's probably on his phone quite a bit as well, and then he goes to sleep. So in my mind, this is like a typical day in the life of a teenager, and as we can see, there are multiple touch points with social media applications, with software, even while doing school activities or doing something else. So yeah, I would be curious to get your thoughts on that. Any kind of does this kind of approach make sense in terms of his user journey, and
Yeah,
any
that makes
additions to that?
sense. It does make sense, and I think it looks good to me till now.
Perfect. Sounds good. So as I think about like that journey, one of the big pain points that comes to mind is the touch points. So of course, like if he's at school, we can't do much to really change that. He's at school and he's doing some activities. The areas where we think we can help Aryan is in his off time. So there are a couple of hours in between where he's playing games for 1 to 2 hours. At dinner, he's distracted a lot on different phone apps and games. So then he's watching TV. So like those are some touch points that we have with him. So as I think about that, one major pain point that comes to mind is off time. Like he's probably distracted a lot. The lack of focus really comes through. So he's never really off. He's like always on. He's always on some device or another during the day. The second thing that comes to mind is doom scrolling. So this like mindless interaction with technology. Third is the learning itself. So while he is using a lot of software products, what is he getting out of it at the end of the day? Is he actually learning something, or is it improving his life, or is he just going about his day as usual? So those were the three pain points that came to mind. Just like love to get your high level thoughts or approach on that.
I think I'm aligned with it, and it looks good to me. I would love to hear your prioritization into this.
Sounds great. So drilling down into this, one thing that definitely comes to mind is that the content that Aryan is consuming is entertaining but not educational. Um, so that entertainment versus education piece comes out. The other thing is skill building. Is he actually learning a new skill? Like for example, he might want to learn the guitar, or he might want to learn a new language. Like he's a curious kid. He's interested in many things, but the content he's consuming allowing him to do that? And then the final thing is, um, are we also guarding for his mental health? Because, he's a growing kid. He probably has issues with his eyes, being on a laptop or his phone all the time. And there are also like, studies to say it impacts his brain because his brain is also growing. And so there's probably some like stress, anxiety, headache, social problems that he might be encountering just because of his heavy use of media. um, so those are some like ideas that came to mind, drilling down on learning a bit further. Um, any specifics that you would have me prioritize? If not, I could use that impact versus reach framework and then pick one of these.
Yeah, I would love you to choose from the later one, which you talked about.
Perfect. So in terms of reach versus impact, I think that prioritizing between these, in my mind, skill building. So actually, skill building versus um, protecting mental health. Those are two important ideas that come to mind. Content itself, I would say, has medium reach, even though it has, having educational content would be beneficial to kids. Um, and would have an impact on their severity and the frequency of the pain point. I would say that there's enough like competitors out there that the reach would be medium. Therefore, I would pick and prioritize between skill building and mental health. And then between these two, I would say that in terms again of severity and frequency of pain point, the impact of protecting Aryan's mental health will be higher than skill building because it's a more critical need. So I would say that the impact and reach of protecting his mental health is higher, and therefore I'll pick the mental health pinpoint and then break that down further into solutions.
Sure, please go ahead.
Perfect. So give me a couple of seconds and I'm gonna write down a couple of solution ideas here.
Sure.
So I came up with three solutions that I'd love to talk to you about. The first is a virtual reality body scanner. So imagine that he has access to a VR headset that can scan his entire body, or maybe works through a smartwatch and can scan his entire body, and it could track every parameter, sleep, anxiety, do 360-degree overview of his health, and then give him an analysis of how well he slept, and then give him ideas or tell him, okay, he's feeling a little stressed, and here are the things he can do. And it just gives him like a holistic picture of his health. Second idea I came up with is what if we could um, have parental controls for his screen time. So screen time optimizer that could reduce his screen time on any impacting apps that are harmful to his mental health. And the third idea I came up with is a hyper personalized mental health agent that could take advantage of um, essentially everything that we know about Ayush and have a personalized experience and give him like a new world to essentially interact with, and then just get ideas at any point in time, any suggestions, and give him a guided experience around how he could optimize his mental health. So the distinction between the first and the second would be, the first one is like a virtual reality body scanner, and the second one is just like a hyper personalized mental health agent. It's just like his assistant that maybe lives on his smartphone or on his smartwatch, and then he can just like continually interact with it and gives him a guided experience for everything around technology on his day. So yeah, those are some three ideas that I came up with. Again, using our impact versus reach framework, I could prioritize between between the three of these, and then pick one and kind of go from there.
I would just add on into this with respect to if you can also take into account effort as a parameter to prioritize. Uh, that will also, because we are trying to build solutions, so we will need some technical bandwidth as well. So from that perspective, what kind of effort it will require, uh, reach uh, into impact versus effort. That's what I would like you to work on into the prioritization methods for this.
Sounds great. So, effort, absolutely. So, I'll break this down in terms of impact, reach, and effort, and then come back with kind of picking one idea over others and prioritize that.
Sure.
So, in my mind, using the framework of impact, reach, and effort, the virtual reality body scanner comes up as the optimal approach. It has high impact in terms of the severity and frequency of what we're solving for, which is mental health challenges. The reach is medium. I think that parents, especially, would be very interested in optimizing for this. And then kids, also, to a certain extent, depending on how much they love VR technology, would be interested. And then the effort would also be medium because there's some existing platforms and technologies we could reuse. I know there's existing algorithms, for example. There are body scanners existing already. Meta is investing a lot in the metaverse, and there are some open source technologies around that. So, for those reasons, I would pick that one. I was thinking about the mental health agent too, but there the effort is quite high, and there are a lot more barriers to entry in terms of regulation, because you need access to all of the person's health data, and being able to pre-train models based on that. So that's a little bit dicey, but I feel like a VR body scanner, um, I would say, is a little less dicey because it's more of a real-time scan, and we can also, tell the user, we're not going to store your information. It's just, whatever you want us to track, we can make it like that, so that it becomes a little less invasive
Mhm.
versus pre-training a model on like one particular person's data. So yeah, so that would be the rationale. I'd just be like curious to see if you'd be aligned with it. We can also talk about trade-offs because I understand like we're talking about people's health data, so discuss some trade-offs as well, um, and then come up with success metrics from there.
Sure, it sounds good to me.
Yeah, so the main pros of focusing on a VR body scanner would definitely be that parents would be very interested in this because parents want to protect their children's health, and they want to know everything possible, every parameter possible to do that. So that 360-degree view is definitely very appealing. The only trade-off there would be in terms of privacy and security. So we'd want to help the parents understand that the data is being stored and secured properly, and also would want to say that it's only accessible to the parents, and we're handling it in the appropriate way, and this data is not to be shared anywhere. It's not going to be used to train any ML models and things. So those are some assurances that we'd have to offer. And then also we'll make it engaging for the kids. So we know that the kids will use it. So those would be some like trade-offs that we need to think about and dive into further as we think of the solution.
Sure, it sounds good to me. So yeah, what would your further approach? You would like to talk about metrics, or you would like to talk about the journey, you know?
Yeah, 100%. So, definitely, we can briefly summarize the journey. The kid wakes up, let's say they have their smartwatch and then they activate their smartwatch. It pulls up a sort of an experience that scans their overall body. Maybe it projects something into the vicinity and kind of shows them, here are your health parameters and here's what you need to optimize for in the day, and gives them some like guidance in the morning, let's say when they wake up. So instead of being on their smartphone, maybe they start interacting with this like new VR body scanner, and now they have the right mindset going into their day. And at the end of the day, maybe they use the scan again, and then they have a checklist of things that they've done to take care of themselves. They check it off, and then they see how they're progressing on their sort of health journey. um, I was thinking about success metrics for that, and in my mind, what would be from an acquisition standpoint would be interesting to see is how many people we get signed up on the platform on per week basis, because we really want that acquisition curve to go up. A secondary metric potentially would be to look at how satisfied are the customers on a score of 1 to 7 or 1 to 10. 1 to 7 is the NPS score, but we could also just look at a customer satisfaction score, and we could offer some sort of a rating system. And then definitely some cannibalization metrics as we think about the ecosystem of Amazon products would be, assuming that this is part of Kids Plus, what would be the drop off on Twitch, because that is also part of our product ecosystem. And then looking at the daily active users in production for Twitch versus this new product would be another success metric. So I'll pause there. If that all sounds good, I'll quickly summarize our and kind of say what we did here.
Sure, I think it sounds good to me. And probably I would like you to summarize in a nutshell, and probably give your final comments.
Sounds great. So um, we thought that we started by talking about why are we building this. So we said that we want to make the lives of kids better aged 3 to 12, and we're Amazon, and we want to be Earth's most customer centric company. And for that reason, we think that we should be impacting all segments of the market in a positive way. um, we decided that we would build for kids who have mental health issues and are potentially gamers. So we picked a user persona, Aryan, who has, some mental health challenges, stress, anxiety, the normal stuff that kids these days, a lot of them have. And we came up with like a journey of what a day in his life looks like. And then we said that we would prioritize learning, and especially like learning about his own health as a pain point, and came up with a VR body scanner as a solution for solving for how Aryan can learn about his own mental and physical health and continue to track and make progress towards it. And then finally, we prioritized a couple of success metrics, looking at acquisition in terms of signups, customer satisfaction as a secondary metric, and then finally, cannibalization in terms of evaluating what is the impact to daily active people, daily active users, and production on Twitch, because that is also part of Amazon's ecosystem.
Sure, I think sounds good. Uh, I think thanks, Prerna, for this session. I really liked your approach, the kind of the approach you followed from, I think, start from discovering the problem and probably eventually getting to the execution phase of it, and probably, some, I think, moonshot solutions around building a VR solution, right? Gamification models and all, which could be a kind of an add-on to it, and probably, I think, definitely, acquisition is a key metric out here. And I believe that we can also talk about engagement, eventual kind of an eventual engagement, because Amazon is a well-established company now, and probably acquisition to a product won't be a much problem, but an eventual what we say
Reten-
uh,
Retention of.
eventual engagement could be thing, or eventual signups to the product could be a problem. So you talked about signups, and probably that was indicative in the metrics as well. So I think I'm aligned on that. Overall, it's a good basically approach you took into account, and yeah, I think thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Hey everyone, it's Kenton Kavesi here, the founder of Rocketblocks. Thank you so much for watching this mock interview video. I hope you found it informative and helpful as you are getting ready to prepare for your own interviews and hopefully landing that job offer you are excited about. We have a ton of great content on the Rocketblocks channel coming out on a weekly basis, mock interviews, mini lessons, and chats with our Rocketblocks experts. So if you haven't subscribed yet already, please do so. There is a big red button below, and if you hit that, you'll get all of our content as soon as it comes out. Thanks for watching and have a great day.